Hello, I'm Jan McCoy with the Oregon Department of Education. This video will provide an overview of the High School Graduation and College and Career Readiness Act. This is an updated video reflecting changes to the legislation from the Oregon Legislature's 2017 session. This video will answer each of the questions shown here. What is the fund? How is the fund allocated? What is necessary to receive funds? What uses are allowed? When are funds available? And what can be done right now? The High School Graduation and College and Career Readiness Act became law in December 2016, following passage of Ballot Measure 98 in the November election. The measure carried with 65% support among voters. This measure created a fund to support improvement of graduation rates and to expand offerings in career technical education and college-level opportunities in high school. The funds are to be used for establishment of new programs or expansion of existing programs. These funds are not intended to supplant funds currently being used to support existing programs. As with all efforts undertaken by schools and districts, ODE urges educators to give careful consideration to equitable access and supports during planning, and to continue to consider equity as an important element of any services to students through to the evaluation phase. To support this, ODE has developed a philosophy of the equity lens. This is articulated in a brief document by that title, available on our webpage. We encourage you to become familiar with this philosophy and to make it a part of your teaching and all interactions with students. Use of an equity lens, either as published by the department or one local to the district, is required in the rules governing Measure 98. As with the equity lens, we encourage staff and districts to work toward a fully integrated program for improving graduation rates and college and career readiness with this fund. Rules governing Measure 98 specifically call for ensuring students are on track to graduate college and career ready as the goal, with dropout prevention, career and technical education, and college-level opportunities identified as key strategies for achieving that goal. If the focus remains on ensuring student success, programming in these areas can be effectively integrated. Your planning should answer the question, how do you know these are the right offerings for your students? This may be best addressed by thoroughly implementing the education plan and profile and using the aggregate information those plans provide to guide offerings for students. The fund is supported with $170 million for the biennium provided in the budget passed by the 2017 legislature. Funding to districts and charter schools is based on each attendance center's average daily membership, weighted, or ADMW. This takes into account variations across districts, not merely in student count, but also in characteristics of the student body, including special education services, services for students for whom English is not their primary language, students living in poverty, and other characteristics. Funds will be distributed over the biennium, with 49% of the allocation available for the 17-18 school year and 51% available during 18-19. The law specifies that ODE should hold funds for eligible districts and charter schools not receiving them during the first year, and that ODE provide technical assistance to ensure each is able to use those funds. For the first year of the fund, districts and charter schools must sign a grant agreement specifying allowable uses of funds and restrictions on their use. Funds become available as soon as the grant agreement is signed and processed. Plans will not be submitted to or reviewed by ODE staff, but should be held and monitored locally. There will be minimal follow-up reporting during the initial implementation. What there is will be part of normal accounting audits. Recipients are eligible to use Year 1 funds to get into place those things necessary for Year 2 eligibility. For Year 2, 2018-19, explicit eligibility requirements are spelled out in both the law and the rules. First, the law requires each recipient submit a plan for approval by ODE. Additionally, the district or schools must have an established, regular time for teachers and staff of students in grade 9 to collaboratively review current data on students' absences, grades, and discipline by school and by course. This should be disaggregated by student groups within the school. Teachers are then to work collaboratively to develop strategies to ensure students at risk of dropping out stay on track to graduate. Districts must also implement district-wide evidence-based practices for reducing chronic absenteeism in grades 9 through 12 and establish a system for assigning high school students to advanced and dual credit courses that avoid bias in course assignments. Finally, districts must implement systems to ensure that high school students are taking courses required for on-time graduation. That is, districts have to commit to helping their freshmen get and remain on track to graduation. Districts are encouraged to use first-year funding to put these things into place to ensure continued funding. An adjustment of the law, not yet reflected in adopted rules, separates recipients into 3 levels. The original legislation required that funds support all 3 areas: career technical education, dropout prevention, and college credit opportunities. The amended version now breaks this up so that those receiving more than $350,000 in 17-18 must implement all 3 programs. Those receiving more than $100,000 but less than $350,000 must support establishment or expansion of CTE programs and choose to address dropout prevention or college credit opportunities, or both. Those receiving less than $100,000 may choose to focus their expenditures on any single area or a combination appropriate to their students' needs. Additionally, the law has always allowed for expenditures supporting transition from 8th grade to 9th grade during the summer following the 8th grade year. This has been adjusted by the amendment to allow up to 15% of the funds received to support work during 8th grade. Recipients will have access to Measure 98 funds as soon as the grant agreements are processed. Year 1 funding is for 2 years, July 2017 through June 2019. If funds remain at the end of the 2017-18 school year, there is no need to arrange carryover of these funds for Year 2. Recipients cannot carry over funds from either Year 1 or Year 2 grants to the 2019-2020 school year because it's a new biennium and requires new budgeting from the legislature. New funding for Year 2 isn't automatic. As mentioned earlier, there are eligibility requirements for Year 2 and beyond. We will be posting the Year 2 application to the ODE website by November 1st, 2017. This application will provide opportunities to demonstrate eligibility and describe planned activities. When the application is posted, an announcement will go out via several listservs. District-level fund amounts have been posted to the ODE website. Charter schools information will be posted in the same place on the website when it is available. At this point, those anticipating funds should be planning activities for the 17-18 school year. These would include those listed on this slide. Recall that eligibility for 18-19 school year is not automatic. You should be working to put data collections and analyses and review processes in place so that you can receive funding for the 18-19 school year. To the extent those activities will need funding for school year 17-18, those expenditures are authorized from the 17-18 funds. As mentioned earlier, the application form for outlining eligibility requirements will be available by November 1. In the interim, the rules and law describe eligibility. We have produced other videos in this series and will be updating them as needed now that the legislature has finished their work. Check in on the ODE website as you're working through your planning to see if the video that might offer you some guidance has been updated. As always, to get the most up-to-date information, check the Measure 98 webpage on ODE's website. To find it, search oregon.gov/ODE for the phrase Measure 98. If you need answers to specific questions, feel free to contact either Donna Brandt or me, Jan McCoy. We'll be happy to see to it your question is answered. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to helping you with your implementation of programming using high school graduation and college and career readiness funds.